Yo, what's the word? It's your boy 16. If you like the content on this channel, I want to ask you like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell for post notifications. Also, I got a website at www.16shotonvisuals.com. But that's enough of me talking. Let's get to what y'all came to see. What's the word? Let people know we got on 16 Shot on Visuals.
Adam22.
For sure. You know, this shit long overdue. We supposed to, I think did it the day we did the interview. Was probably busy or something.
Oh, right. We were supposed to do it all the way back then? Shit. All right.
First thing I want to ask you, this wasn't going to be the first question, but like, since it happened, like I want to ask you, like what happened with your face?
Oh, right. So, all right. I've been on this like hardcore exercise and diet grind. And there was one day where I stopped eating at like 5 p.m. and then I wake up at like 8 a.m. the next day after a full night's sleep. And it was the first day that my kid was back after a few days. And I just jump out of bed super fast. And like my whole life, I always had this thing where if I jump up and stand up too fast, I get kind of lightheaded. And I sometimes have to like grab the wall and like chill for like 3 seconds. And then I just feel fine, whatever. But for some reason, this time, I was carrying the cat too. I'm like in my underwear, holding the cat, running out into the living room to go fuck with my kid. And then I just fucking freeze and just pass out and just fucking slash my head open on like the edge of the door or some shit. So yeah, I had to go to the hospital and get 8 stitches. I'm gonna cut them out tomorrow. I don't know.
How was that process? Was it painful?
It wasn't that painful. The only painful part is when they just inject the numbing shit into it, but then the stitches themselves don't hurt.
Oh yeah. So like, let's talk about like your upbringing. You were originally from New Hampshire?
Nashua, New Hampshire, about 45 minutes outside of Boston. It's like a small city of like 80,000 people. There's like a million little cities like this surrounding the Boston area where, you know, people live who basically, you know, don't have enough money to live in Boston. And like a lot of people commute into the Boston area to work and stuff. But my mom was like a librarian for most of my childhood at a community college, and my dad was a social worker for like 20 years, and he worked for like a construction company, like getting them jobs for like 20 years. So pretty average upbringing.
So I was checking out like your I don't know if it's like your Reddit, but I know it's no jumper Reddit. But I was checking it out, and they were saying something like, ask about like, was your dad supposed to have like some type of involvement in Bill Clinton campaign?
Yeah, so when I was in 2nd grade or so, like 1992, my dad just was involved with local politics because he was an alderman, which basically is like there's a bunch of like people who kind of like make decisions about the city or whatever. It's like a pretty low level job. But my dad ran for mayor at one point and did not win. But he had his whole little period of time where he was trying to like do his thing with the local government and shit. So he was like a campaigner for Bill Clinton like super early on. So there's like pictures of me around Bill Clinton when I was a little kid and shit. And it's just like my dad campaigned for a ton of different like random candidates for governor, for president, all throughout my childhood. That was just like a normal thing, is that we'd be going and standing on a corner honking and holding signs and shit for like a candidate that my dad was supporting or whatever. And then Bill Clinton just ended up being the one who actually won the presidency. And so, you know, they had a little cool relationship for a period of time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, with your father into like the politics and stuff like that, how was it when you start, doing what you do, like even before the podcast, like just the BMX and maybe like getting the tattoos and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, my dad, honestly, like I was getting in so much trouble all through high school with graffiti and fighting and just stealing and all this shit that it was just like, I don't think tattoos were really that big of a worry to my dad. It was like, you know, because you got to think about it from his perspective. It's like, I drop out of high school, or I drop out of college after 2 years. I move to New York. What am I doing? He doesn't fucking know that I'm doing like identity theft, credit card shit, scamming and everything at that time, super early, like 2004. I'm like running around with other people's credit card information, doing purchases on laptops or whatever. But he didn't know about any of that. The first thing he knew of me making money doing was playing poker. So he's looking at that like thinking this is kind of a fucking weird, risky seeming thing to be making money doing. And then all of a sudden I'm like making money off a BMX website. He's like thinking, oh, that seems a little bit more ordinary or like understandable, you know? And then over the years, like honestly, he seemed like more proud when he saw me open a store than like all those years having a website that was doing well on a YouTube channel and stuff, because it's like he just got that, like, oh, there's like people here shopping that like you. They want to take pictures with you. That's so sick. So I mean, yeah, it was kind of like over. It took a while before he kind of like really understood, and he still loves it. Like he loves for me to break down the revenue streams and how we make money and everything, just because he's so interested in it.
Yeah, I think maybe when it's like a older generation, because even with when I was with my parents, but with my mother specifically, like, she didn't really understand what I was doing, and she was like telling me like, get a job, like, what the fuck are you doing, like, you tripping. But now it's like she my biggest fan. Like, was it kind of similar when you started the podcast with them, or at that point they felt like you knew what you was doing?
Yeah, like, because by the time I started the podcast, because you know I was doing my thing with the BMX site and everything, and it was going cool, but it wasn't like I was getting rich or anything. So then once the YouTube and the No Jumper thing really started to take off, that's when my parents started to be, you know, seemingly a little bit more optimistic about how everything was going. But I can honestly say that like my whole life since I was like 18, 19 when I dropped out of school, it's kind of been like a consistent rise, you know, like my finances or like where I've been at has kind of just, well, actually, to be real, it's like super flat until I start No Jumper. It's basically like I'm just kind of earning the same amount of money, and then No Jumper takes off and it's like, oh, okay, boom, now I'm actually making real money. Yeah.
So how long did that take as far as like building a No Jumper brand, where you felt like you started making more money than